Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you are having a wonderful day. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the December 2023 Book of the Month choices. This month we have 5 books to choose from. There's also a collection of audiobooks you can choose from. If you don't know what Book of the Month is a book subscription service where you can choose 1 or 2 hardcover books or audiobook depending on which plan you are under. The longer you are with Book of the Month, the more perks you get with Book of the Month. So our first book is A Winter in New York. It is by Josie Silver. She is a repeat author on Book of the Month. The cover of this book reminds me of the movie with the Olsen twins called In a New York Minute. This book is a romance. The quick take from this book is a delicious rom-com with all the right ingredients, family secrets, recipes, holiday vibes, and a big pinch of love. The good to know is family drama, foodie, holiday, and salacious. This book intrigues me because I love all things food. I love all things Christmas or winter holidays. The synopsis for this book: when Iris decides to move to New York to restart her life, she realizes she underestimated how big the Big Apple really is. All the nostalgic movies set in New York she watched with her mom while eating their special secret gelato recipe doesn't do it justice. If you don't know what gelato is Italian ice cream. It is mostly made with cream instead of milk like American ice cream. But Bobby, Iris's best friend, isn't about to let her hide away. He drags her to a famous autumn street fair in Little Italy. As they walk through the food stalls, a little family-run gelateria catches her eye. Could it be the same shop that's in old photos of her mother? Curious, Iris returns the next day to meet the handsome Gio, who tells her that the shop is in danger of closing. His uncle, the sole keeper of their family gelato recipe, is in a coma, so they can't make more. When Iris samples the remaining batch of gelato, she realizes their gelato and her gelato are one and the same. But she can't tell. But how can she tell them she knows their secret recipe when she's not sure why Gio's uncle gave it to her mother in the first place? Iris offers her services as chef to help recreate the flavor and finds herself falling for Gio and his family. But when Gio's uncle finally wakes up, all the secrets Iris has been keeping threatens to ruin their new love she's been building all winter long. This book synopsis reminds me of an iCarly episode called iPie, and the iCarly episode was they used to go to this pie place called Galini's for coconut pie. But the owner, Mr. Galini, passes away, and the only surviving heir in the family is his granddaughter. And she says she's gonna have to close the shop because her uncle never gave anyone in the family his pie recipes. So they spend the whole episode of the show trying to find the recipes. Eventually they do find them. I won't tell you how they found the recipes, but they found them. So this synopsis reminds me of that iCarly episode. Book number 2 is a fantasy. It is called The Kingdom of Sweets. It's by Erica Johansson. This was my first choice for December. And the reason why I chose this book is because if you look at the cover, it says a novel of the Nutcracker. The Nutcracker is my favorite ballet. So I felt like I had to choose this book because I love the Nutcracker. And yes, I don't read a lot of fantasy, but the Nutcracker part intrigued. The quick take for this book: buckle up for a dark and strange ride. This wicked rewrite of the Nutcracker has a couple surprises up its sleeve. The good to know is creepy, unsettling, based on a classic, which is the Nutcracker and Sibling. Synopsis: the light and dark, this is the cursed birthright placed upon Clara and Natasha by their godfather, Drosselmeyer, whose power and greed holds an entire city in his sway. Clara, charming Clara, the favorite, grows into a life of beauty and ease, while Natasha is regaled to her sister's shadow, ignored and unloved. I feel bad for Natasha, but Natasha seizes the opportunity for revenge one Christmas when Drosselmeyer arrives at the family gala with the Nutcracker, an enchanted gift that offers entry into an alternative world, the kingdom of sweets. Following into the glittering land of snow and sugar, Natasha discovers a source of power far greater than Drosselmeyer, the sugar plum fairy, who offers her own wondrous gifts of chilling bargains. But as Natasha uncovers the truth about a dark destiny crafted long before her birth, she must reckon with forces earthly and magical, human and diabolical, and decide to which world she truly belongs. Okay, this book intrigued me, not just because of the Nutcracker, but it seems like a play on good versus evil, the choice of right and wrong, and trying to find your place in your world, or in this case, in your family, when you already feel unloved, can sometimes push you in a negative direction. So we'll have to see what Natasha chooses. Is she going to choose the good or the bad? Book number 3 is a thriller. It is called No One Can Know. It is by a repeat author named Kate Alice Marshall. It is an early release, so that means you can read this book now or wait until before, like a month ahead of time before it comes out. The quick take: small town secret, family tensions are unleashed when a married couple moves into an old house with a bloody past. The good to know is multiple viewpoints, linear timeline, unreliable narration, and marriage issues. This book reminds me, or gives me, the same vibe that The Stranger Upstairs gave me by Lisa and Madeline. It was a book of the month choice, I want to say about 2 months ago, or a month ago, two or so months ago. And in The Stranger Upstairs, they did have marriage issues. The narration was unreliable, and the book was all about someone buying a murder house and how much tension that caused between the marriage and the people on the block. So just from the quick take and the good to know, No One Can Know gives me The Stranger Upstairs vibe. If you haven't read The Stranger Upstairs and you want to know my thoughts on it, I will link the review for that up in the cards, and I will also have it linked down in my description box. Synopsis: Emma hasn't told her husband much about her past. He knows her parents are dead, and she hasn't spoken to her sister in years. Then they lose their apartment. Her husband gets laid off, and Emma discovers she's pregnant right as the bank account slips into the red. That's a lot for any couple or anyone to handle at one time. That's when Emma confesses that she has one more asset, her parents' house, which she jointly owns with her estranged sister. They can't sell it, but they can live in it. But returning home means Emma is forced to reveal her secret to her husband that the house is not a rundown farmhouse, but a stately mansion that her parents. The house is not a rundown farmhouse, but a stately mansion that her parents died there. The house is not a rundown farmhouse, but a stately mansion, and her parents died there, were murdered, and that some people believe Emma did it. Okay, my question is, did Emma really do it? And if she did not do it, why do people think she did it? Emma and her sisters haven't spoken about what really happened that night, but now her return to the house may lure her sisters back, but it will also crack open family and small town secrets a lot of people don't want revealed. As Emma struggles to reconnect with her old family and hold together her new one, she begins to realize that things they have left unspoken all these years have put them in danger again. So this one is fascinating because I wonder, when Emma created her new life with her husband, did she block out her whole past, or was she just determined not to talk about it or speak about it? And how will this affect Emma in her relationship with her husband, and knowing that the fact you have all of this baggage you're carrying, but you're about to also bring a new generation into the family? Do you really want your past to also affect your family and your future child as generations go on and continue? Book number 4 is a historical fiction, a debut, and an early release. It is by Vanessa Chan. It is called The Storms We Made. The quick take: part family drama, part epic war. This harrowing, emotional, riveting debut depicts the havoc weekend in World War II Malaya. The good to know is emotional, multiple viewpoints, non-linear timeline, and graphic violence. There is a content warning for this book. Please read all content warnings for books before you read them, just so you know what the triggers are. And please do not read a book if a book could possibly trigger you. So please read all content warnings before you pick up a book. I will highlight the content warning for you. The content warning are SA and CA. I highlight all content warnings for you so you can read them. Synopsis: Malaya, 1945. Cecilia Alcantara family is in terrible danger. Her 15-year-old son, Abel, has disappeared, and her youngest daughter, Jasmine, is confined in a basement to prevent being pressed into serve at the comfort stations. Her oldest daughter, Jube, who works at a tea house frequented by drunk Japanese soldiers, becomes angered by the day. Cecilia knows two things. This is all her fault, and her family must never learn the truth. A decade prior, Easley has been desperate to be more than a housewife to a low-level bureaucrat in British colonized Malaya. A chance meeting with the charismatic General Fuqua lured her into a life of espionage, pursuing dreams of an Asia for Asians. Instead, Easley helped usher in an even more brutal occupation by the Japanese. 10 years later, as the war reaches its apex, her actions have caught up with her. Now, her family is on the brink of destruction, and she will do anything to save them. Spanning years of pain, triumph, told from the perspective of 4 unforgettable characters. The Storm We Made is a dazzling saga about horrors of war, the flawed relationships between the colonized and the oppressors, the ambiguities of right and wrong when survival is at stake. This book sounds powerful. Please remember there is a content warning for this book. It is highlighted on your screen. Book number 5. Book number 5 is short stories. It is called Tomb Sweeping. It is a yearly look back by Alexandria Chang. The quick take brimming with warmth and vibrancy. This beautiful debut of collection of stories asks sharp questions about modern life. The good to know is international, literacy, millennial, and tech world. Compelling and perspective, Tomb Sweeping probes the loyalties we hold to relatives, to strangers, and to ourselves. In stories set across the U.S. and Asia, Alexandria Chang immerses us in the lives of immigrant families, grocery store employees, expectant parents, Glorious lab assistant, a woman known only to her neighbors as Asian recycle lady collecting bottles from streets she called home. A young college grad ponders the void left from a broken friendship. An unfulfilled housewife in Shanghai finds a secret outlet for her ambitions in an uncovered gambling den. Two strangers become something more than their bond of mistaken identity. These characters, adeptly attuned to the mystery of the living, invites us to consider whether it is possible for anyone to entirely do right by one another. Tomb Sweeping brims with remarkable skill and talent in every story, keeping a definitive pulse on loss and community, what it means to feel fully alive. This book also sounds interesting because everybody has their own story. Okay, so I'm gonna show you what my second choice was. It is in the new release section of Book of the Month. So my second book is a romance. It is called 5 Years From Now. It is by Paige Toon. The quick take says, they say timing is everything. While two childhood friends who had to wait 20 years for their due would like a word. The good to know is emotional, love triangle, nonlinear timeline, friends to lovers. The synopsis: a love stronger than distance, a fate determined by time. Nell and Van meet as children when their parents fall in love. They become best friends and each other's whole world. Then tragedy strikes and Van is sent to the other side of the globe. 5 years later, they find each other again, but they're no longer children, and the bonds between them smolder into flames. New feelings surprise them both. They are destined soulmates until an untimely discovery tears them apart again. For the next 2 decades, fate brings Nell and Van together every 5 years, even as life and circumstance divides them. They will have to make a choice. It is bigger than their lives alone, bigger than their love. This book I chose just based off of the cover because it has butterflies on it, and butterflies are my favorite. So I chose this book just based off of the cover. There is audiobooks on Book of the Month. If you have the Book of the Month app, you can find your audiobook. Or if none of the books intrigued you, all you have to do is when you're on the website, or if you can do this through the app, you can browse all the books that's ever been a part of Book of the Month. And if you find one you like, you can use your credits on that book. You don't have to choose a book from the list of options for December, or you can skip December entirely and your credits will roll over to the next month. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, I'm always thinking of you, sending my love, and bye for now.